Welcome everyone to Yilan, specifically Luodong, where I think it's just so wet. Yes, it does rain quite a lot here, and I've been here a few times to Yilan, and I'm kind of slowly becoming convinced that Yilan is one of Taiwan's most underrated places, or perhaps it's one of its best kept secret. It's known as sort of the back garden of Taipei people, those Tianlongren up there. One of the biggest reasons is just how quaint it is. The countryside here is really, really lovely, and it does feel like I've been transported into like an anime, where you've got all these really interesting houses that the people have built with the rice fields that don't have rice in it because it is the winter time. Yilan is of course famous for its hot springs. It would be very stupid for me to come here for the days that I've been here not go to a hot spring. So I drove up some rather misty mountains, and I have to say those mountains are asleep. The clouds and the mist move slowly over them, and that honestly put me to sleep, so excuse me if I seem a little bit tired in the video. That is just sort of the mood that those mountains in that area of this country puts you in. Welcome to a Taiwanese hot spring here in Yilan, and I don't know anything really about hot springs because I'm not really experienced. Basically just boiling food in a mountain, I think. So they give us this weaved basket to put all the vegetables and food into, put an egg. Do I put an egg in? Yes. Let's go. First catch of the day. So is it like fishing, where I have to cast it? So the problem I'm having here is that corn floats. So when I drop the basket in, the corn float away and I lose all my food. I've lost the corn. Oh, I'm fishing my corn. Oh, you guys can't see anything because of the steam, but this is the world's largest hot pot, basically. Everyone else is so smart, they put it in the corner. I have to stand here. There we go. And then you just wait for your giant hot pot to finish. But I think these hot springs are very, very popular in the wintertime when it gets cold. Despite the rain, it's quite cozy up here. So I have no idea if this is cooked or not, but we're gonna find out by eating either a raw egg or raw corn. And when you're finished cooking it, you bring it over here to the cooling station. So you're not eating piping hot corn and eggs. And then you leave it in there and then it cools down. And then you take it to your table, you can eat it. You also wash your hands in here. That was a joke, don't wash your hands in this. This is what the pros do. It's all the water off. I have a funny feeling that's raw, but we'll see. I feel like you should bring your own salt or your own seasonings because you're basically just eating boiled eggs and boiled corn. Come on, we found salt and pepper, little dime bags of salt and pepper. Very different to our traditional North American, Canadian version of what we do with dime bags, but. All right, so what I'm really interested to find out is like, does this taste any different than like a regular boiled corn, or does the hot spring give it like a sulfuric flavor? Because I feel like hot springs, especially in Beito, or not in Beito, or in Yilan, but in Beito or in Taipei where their hot springs are, it just smells like sulfur. It smells like farts, basically. I wonder if any of that will transfer into the food. Or is that hot spring even natural? Like, is it just like something they run propane under? Or is this not even cooked? It's cooked. It basically just tastes like boiled corn. There's no difference in flavor, which is good because I love baby corn. Come to Yilan Hot Springs where you're gonna spend most of your time trying to open up a little packet of salt and pepper. You'll get 2 minutes in the hot spring, 2 minutes with the fish eating your feet, 2 minutes cooking the corn and the eggs, and another 3.5 hours opening little plastic packets. Oh, I got it. I don't really know how this is done. Basically, I like to season the table first because I miss the corn. That's good. I think it's white pepper. But it's nice on like a cold day to eat some hot boiled eggs. Yeah, this is really cool, but I get the novelty of it, you know, being cooked in a hot spring is cool. But I mean, it is just a boiled egg in a really big pot of hot spring water. But yeah, it's a boiled egg. I think this is sort of like a unique Taiwanese experience. This place is very cool. I think if you came with a family, it'd be really cool. I would compare this in Canada when it's like a really snowy day, like the snow is thick and it's falling really snow, and you're in a cabin with a hot chocolate and you're watching the snow fall outside with a fire beside you. This is sort of like the Taiwanese equivalent. Like the feeling is somewhat the same, except it doesn't snow. It's cold and it's rainy, so you sit in a hot spring. It's kind of relaxing like that. Except that there's a lot more people here than there would be in a Canadian snowstorm, but still, it's nice. So the mountains and the hot springs were really cool, but I also really wanted to revisit Jiaoxi. I've been there once before. Look how beautiful that is. Sorry, I gotta stop vlogging for just a second. I mean, look at all of that. It's so nice here. It's just so picturesque. But one of the really cool places is called Jiaoxi, where there's a lot of hot springs in the streets that I had to go check out. I think that's so cool. just made it to probably my favorite part of Yilan. Not that I come here that often, but it's this really interesting hot spring area that's like in the street, basically in the city center, and back there people were dipping their feet in. I really think it's kind of cool how you can see like the fog, the steam come up from the hot spring and rise over the neon lights. It's very cyberpunk, it's very kind of futuristic. You kind of have to be careful where you're stepping here in Yilan, like in the city center, because like there's hot springs everywhere. There's just pools of water that you could accidentally step in if you're not really looking. This is the type of thing that gives a city like its spirit. This is the type of thing that gives a city like its pizzazz, it's its own character. Whereas I feel like a lot of other cities, if you just stick a night market in it, or if you just stick like, you know, it just becomes like a cookie cutter city. But things like this make it kind of special. Like you kind of know you're in Yilan because of this little like city center square thing with hot springs. I feel like a lot of cities, especially in like North America where I'm from, like Calgary is no different than Edmonton, it's no different than Ottawa. A lot of those type of cities just seem to like cover the same floor plan and end up feeling kind of the same. So I really like that Yilan has stuff like this to kind of make it a little bit more its own thing. I kind of like that. Finally won a bubble tea with actual liquid and a cat in it. That's cool. What I was expecting to see is what I just talked about, you know, hot springs in the streets, that kind of interesting thing. But what I didn't expect was the biggest parade for hot springs I've ever seen in my life. Your city likes hot springs? You think your city's got the best hot springs? You think you like hot springs? You ain't got shit on Yilan. Look how excited they are over a hot spring. They have a whole friggin' parade with women and teapots, and old people like hot springs, young people like hot springs, the fucking police like hot springs. Now, this is just a Wednesday for Yilan. I'll be honest, Taiwanese people love parades. They have parades for everything, including hot springs apparently. They have hot springs for God's birthdays. They'll have a parade for my birthday. My birthday parade's gonna have women in overturned teapots or whatever that is. I'm actually not sure. They decked out a whole Mitsubishi Delica to make it look like a dragon. What is that? Eagle? Whatever that is. They love hot springs, I think, more than anyone else in Taiwan. Madness. I feel like in Yilan, hot springs are the pinnacle. That was the most insane parade I've ever seen. I feel like if the government was like, oh, we're giving away free parking in Yilan, people would be like, oh, okay, whatever, I don't really care. And then it's like, oh, it's hot spring season. Oh, get the parade out. Oh my goodness, get the ladies out. Where's the teapots? The government can even be like, free rent for the rest of the year. And Yilan people are like, oh yeah, that's great, thank you. And then it's like, oh, it's hot spring season again. Everybody get the giant teapots out, get the four-wheelers out. The government would be like, moving the capital from Taipei into Yilan, and people would be like, oh, whatever, I don't really care, all disgruntled. And they'd be like, it's hot spring season, oh God. Hot springs here in Yilan are like the thing that everyone looks forward to. That parade was so big, it's almost convinced me that it's like bigger than Chinese New Year, bigger than Moon Festival. People here in Yilan pride themselves on the quality of their hot springs. And so I had to go try one. This reminds me of my old house. I'm not really sure what people are supposed to do in a hot spring. You just sort of sit here and be hot. Yilan for me is the perfect small town. It is so underrated, I think, or at least it's just not talked about. It's almost like a secret. I totally get why people from Taipei come here on the weekends to escape sort of the bustling, fast-paced city. You can come here and sort of enjoy the much slower pace of life, the much more picturesque, relaxing pace of life. I think relaxing is probably the best adjective to describe Yilan, because the whole county feels like it was built around relaxing, with like the hot springs dotted around the county, with just enjoying, like you can rent, like what I'm renting now is a big house here that is on this farmland, like in the rural areas. And I think people can really appreciate that and really sort of enjoy the quiet, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy the view of the mountains. The view of the ocean isn't too far away, and just be amongst sort of like the farmers, I guess. It kind of takes you away from the stresses of everyday life and just helps you slow down and enjoy the little things. And I think that is why Yilan is so special. It's different than I think any other county I've been to here in Taiwan. Yilan truly is special. Yilan truly does have its own character, and I really appreciate that because that's what I look for when I travel, is cities that have its own kind of thing going on. Like I said, its own character, its own defining characteristic where you know when you were there. Like if I transported you to a place and I close your eyes and this is sounding way too romantic, but you know, if I just ask you to smell, or if I just ask you to sort of feel with your sixth sense which country you're in, or which county you're in, or which place you are in the world you're in, you can just tell me without even looking at it. There's a feeling that the place has, and I feel like Yilan has exactly that.
Old people get freaky under bridges.
Jeez.